Hey, welcome to our video on the homework on input analysis from this previous week. Excuse me. So what we want to do is go over that homework, kind of just show you how this would work. And so to do that, we're going to take a look at the homework. Okay. First of all I've got some formulas already plugged in there. Let me go over them. This is a situation where we're looking at workers per day. That's the input. And the product is the pounds of vegetables sold. So the more pickers that you have out there picking on hours of the day, the more vegetables are harvested and sold. However, you can see right here at 5.5 hours of a day, the 6 hours of a day actually drops in the vegetables harvested, meaning that maybe the workers kind of just really can't keep up with that much work of the day, so their total production actually drops. And in fact, if they keep working, production continues to drop. So if you're just looking at this at a logical standpoint, you would never really use any more than 6 hours in a day because you actually have a decrease in production. So your answer is somewhere between 2.5 and 5.5. Now there's a couple of things we can do to develop measures of this, and so I wrote formulas already. In fact, let me show you the formula. So if you just want to do average production, it's your vegetables sold divided by your input. So C8 divided by B8. I copied that formula all the way down. And so those are your answers. Your average starts out low and then goes up all the way until about right here. And then the average starts to fall off a little bit in production. Now, if you come over here, this is measuring that change. And so you mark out the first row and go down to the second. And so the formula for this is going to be the difference in the vegetables sold divided by the difference in the workers' hours worked per day, or the workers per day. So the input is what this is. And so the difference between your production and your input is the change, and that's going to be 18 pounds. So for every one invested, when you go from here to here, every one gives you 18. The next one, the change is from here to here, every one gives you 26. The change from 3.5 to 4 is 20. The change from 4 to 4.5 is 18 again. And the change of 4.5 to 5 is 8. And then you keep going through. Of course, if you go to 5.5 to 6, the answer goes negative. So this is what we call definitely stage, I should spell stage right, stage 3. And so that's the irrational stage of production. You really wouldn't go into here at all. These are all going to cost you money. So your average and your marginal kind of help you look at stage 3, like when it becomes negative, and then really stage 2 is somewhere where MPP and APP equals, which is based in the chapter if you look at that. And so it looks like that is somewhere up here pretty quick. So you can see that your average is going up, and then it starts to drop along with this. So it looks like somewhere between here and here are going to be the APP and MPP actually equal each other. So somewhere between these two stages. So somewhere in here is where they actually become equal, because the 9.7 becomes a 9.6 and the 18 becomes an 8. So somewhere in the middle, they actually equal each other. So there is kind of, I should put that is, of course, stage 2. And that's because those t equal. So somewhere between here is where that happens. So that's the idea of this table. Now, these two are about the profit, about the cost. So for every one input, it costs $12 an hour. So 2.5 hours to 3 hours, that costs you $12 per hour, because everything is based on per one unit of input. If you'll notice, the input is on the bottom every time. Because it's on the bottom every time, that's like everything is per hour of input. And so that's what everything is in this whole table. So what's an input cost? Well, it costs $12 per hour. What's the input worth? Because every one of these is based on 1 hour of the input. That's what one input costs you. So what's the one input worth? Well, you just multiply the MPP times the price, and it gives you that. So 18 times $1.78 is the pound of vegetables sold. If you go through here, it's 26 pounds now sold times $1.78. So it's worth $46. So is it worth $12 to get 32? The answer is yes. Is it worth spending $12 to get 46? Well, of course. Is it worth $12 to get 35.60? The answer is still yes. Even though it's not as high, you get to collect this each time. So we've already got the 12 and got 32. We've already got the 12 and got 46. We've already got the 12 and got 35. So we keep going. Is it worth it to spend 12 to get 32? Of course. Is it worth it to spend 12 to get 14? Yes. Is it worth it to spend 12 and get $7? No. So somewhere in between here and here is where we're going to stop. So this is the table of your work, and that's kind of what that table's all about. So question 2 says, what point does stage 2 begin? Well, that's somewhere between here and here. So 4.5 to 5, since that's where APP and MPP equal, or they get crossed. They cross up in the chart. Again, once again, the chapter's got this examples. Keep going through here. What use of hours looks to show the beginning of stage 3? Well, that's right here where it drops off. So really, when you move from 5.5 to 6, you could also just say just 6. Since that's where MPP starts to be 0. But it's somewhere between 5.5 and 6, because that's where MPP and MVP, both of those, become negative. So we're losing production. All right, so next one, using the previous answer to the table, what hours of work would you potentially use? Forget what it cost. Well, if you use 2.5 all the way to 5.5, you're getting a harvest that is positive. So that's the answer to that. Anywhere from 2.5, or I said 3 here, but anywhere all the way up to 5.5. And then finally, we're looking at maximum profit. So if you're comparing these two, I would keep saying yes all the way till I got really here, but you would say somewhere between there and there, because that's where 12 equals. So 5.5 to 5 to 5.5 would be the answer there. All right, so that's kind of your homework from last week, and that's kind of hopefully something that might help you. Thanks.